Hello everyone and welcome to our another inspiring episode. Today I'm joined by someone whose voice has become part of thousands of people's morning across the UAE. She is a radio presenter, producer and content creator and entrepreneur. Someone who has built her career with resilience and hard work. And what inspired me most is that her journey didn't begin with privilege. It began in a modest chawl in Mumbai where she dared to dream beyond her circumstances. And today we will talk about dreams, failures, motherhood, career, communications, and staying informed, and how she's become one of the trusted voices keeping the UAE community updated every morning. Please join me in welcoming Muriel D'Souza. Hi, Muriel D'Souza. So, Muriel, people know your voice, but today I would love them to hear your story. So, tell us about yourself. Like, how did you? I know you are born and brought up in Dubai, but how did you land up in Mumbai?
Okay, so I was born here in Dubai, and to be very precise, Sharjah actually, but I was raised back home in Mumbai. I belong to the Chawls of Mumbai, to be again very precise, in Goregaon East. Ever you pass by the train station, that's the Chawl. I still belong to that Chawl. That's the story of me very many moons ago. That's where my grandmother stayed, and that's where I began my journey from. It's like people say, you get things on the platter. I am somebody who would like to challenge different odds, to work against it, and I've always been a rebel. And I feel that if you want something, the sky is the limit, really.
And especially in this country, Dubai, there is no limit.
Absolutely. There is absolutely no limit as well. And but also, having said that, you may have the great connections on this planet.
Yeah.
But if you're not determined, if you don't have that grit, that grace to go out and want, you need to have that hunger to achieve more in life. And I think that comes from self-realization, from knowing what your past was. And that should dictate your terms as of today.
That's great to hear your story. So, was there any moment that, when you told yourself that you want big or you want to dream bigger? Was there any moment?
I think more than me wanting to do bigger things in life, it was my parents who wanted to give me the best, right? Whilst I did tell you that we started off with very humble beginnings, but having said that, my parents knew that there was something in this girl that, yes, she's a rebel. So
they encourage you, to do anything, but we are with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I had full freedom in my house to do whatever I want to do.
Full freedom.
Absolutely, 110%. And I think that's something that, as a child, as a girl child.
So you are very lucky, you were very lucky to have such a parents.
Yeah. Yes, I am very lucky to have such parents who believed, in fact, it was my father who noticed the media spark in me that I could do something in this field. This story goes back to the fact that I had gotten my admissions in UTS, University of Technology, Sydney.
Okay.
I had gone there, come back over here. And one fine day, my dad had all his papers in front of him, like a typical middle-class family, looking at all his documents. And that day, there was a different sense of realization that took place. And I said, if my dad is going to break all his savings, and of course, for a middle class, it's a huge thing, right, to be sending a child abroad to study. And my dad never wanted me to work whilst I was studying. And I seen that. I said, but after me, there's also my sister. What is going to happen to her future? And I said, no, there has to be a different way out. And I decided to stay back in Dubai because I came here when I was in the 11th standard, my 11th standard. That's +1 of college in Mumbai. And then I said I stayed back, and then I joined a university over here, Manipal. And then from there, my journey has been that of a fairy tale. It's just worked in my...
So you never thought to settle in Sydney? That idea never came to you?
Initially, that was on my mind. I wanted to settle elsewhere, and, like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
You look for greener pastures. Yeah. But little did I know that Dubai had a very different beginning for me. Yeah. And that beginning turned out to be so beautiful.
That's great to hear, So like tell me, about your first audition, like this 100 Talk 100.0. It was your first radio show, or you were in different radio channel also?
So Talk 100.3 happened in 2021. Yes, in 2021, about 5 years from today. But no, it's going to be 17 years that I'm in the industry, in the radio industry. I have moved about 4 stations almost, different formats, done the Bollywood music station, also done the talk formats, worked with government officials. So I have done the entire bandwidth.
So your journey from producer, then to the presenter, and then talk show, like talking with the professionals, corporate professionals, like morning, midday show. So what is your, what is your biggest challenge before the radio show, before on air? So what is your challenge, or like what challenge you face?
So like a Bollywood station would function, or any music channel would function, is you have your prep sheets and you know the songs, and you prepare in accordance to whose birthday it is, or probably any clips that you want to play. A talk show does not function that way at all, right? A talk show requires
lots of research.
Absolutely, a lot of research. You require the ability to go out there and to coin things the way they're supposed to coin. Also, you need to know how to speak, when to stay mum. Because you have guests, you have experienced people joining you on the station. Now, there could be very many a times that you would need to know how to pull yourself back so that you can amplify what the other person is talking. And the hero on a talk station is never the presenter, it's the conversation, the content.
And one thing I have always admired about you, that you don't entertain people. Like you are giving them information to keep them informed about like UAE government policies, about visa updates, traffic updates, or about normal, daily, like any ministry updates. So it means that you are giving them correct information, with your research. So that's a good thing that you are doing, and like, so whenever I'm free or whenever I'm driving to, in this time, like your morning show, so I always switch on your channel and I listen, what you are saying. So I think lots of people they are also doing same thing.
Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment, Komal. But the endeavor is to break down government policies. It is to discuss, right? That's the only thing we can do. You discuss conversations, then you discuss about AI, trending topics. Yeah. You talk about sustainability. You talk about what's happening back home in India. You talk about visa changes, policies, and why. Now, like you rightly said, information. But radio as a medium was initially coined to spread information. The term infotainment happened back in the days. Go back to, the All India Radio.
DD1.
Right? DD1, right? Yeah. They were all about information.
Yeah.
Then came in a bit of entertainment.
Yes.
So I think entertainment on a talk station it should never be the conversation that you come forward to have. It's always, are you willing to share information, to gain knowledge, and to be a part of the community? My doors are open for you.
No, that's a wonderful thing that, like you are doing so many interviews or talk show with like corporate professionals. So what is the one thing that you have learned from business entrepreneur or corporate professionals? Like any positive thing or good thing that you would like to share with us?
Okay, across the board that I've learned is something, Komal, that discipline eats motivation for breakfast. It means if you are disciplined, you can achieve anything. Being motivated is, it's quite temporary. You can be motivated to probably get up, leave the room, motivated to go on your laptop, do something now. But if you are disciplined every single day, if you're doing the same routine, you become habituated to it.
Yes.
So discipline eats motivation for breakfast.
Oh, that's a very good point that our listener also, you are helping to our listeners. So it's a very good advice from your side. So Muriel, like so many people, celebrate success. Like I also celebrate success. But like I got to know from you, like you celebrate failure. why it is like different, like generally people celebrate success, but very few people, and you are one of them, that you celebrate failure. So tell me about, one failure that completely changed your life.
There are so many, Komal.
No, like
Absolutely.
one thing.
One failure.
That completely, change your life, or, it's like fully.
When I think this was about 4 years ago, we were on the verge of cracking one of the biggest deals probably of our life, right? Both me and my husband, we were on this. We reached there, and towards the end, everything seemed seemingly perfect. Investments made in right direction, and then suddenly destiny had its own call. It took a U-turn and things went down south from there. When that happened, it was, I don't think any of us could have imagined the kind of losses we underwent, but something that I always believe, and I'm so glad to have found a partner who believes the same thing, that you celebrate success, which is good, celebrate, but celebration of success mostly is to boost your own ego. When you celebrate your failures, when you
we learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely. But when you amplify things that have probably taken you down the hill, when you celebrate those, then they become, building off a different character. So when you celebrate success, you celebrate your ego. You're boosting your ego. When you're celebrating failures, you're building your character. If I don't know whether you've seen the season or the series rather of the entire Tatas and Tata Sons, of how, So if you see in that, he's talking about celebrating failures, right? You'd fail once, you'd fail twice, you'll fail thrice. But eventually you'll get up and move along. Basics. FIFA World Cup final took place. If I'm not mistaken, I think, Spain hit or probably aimed for the goal was at about 21 shots onto the goal. But they never kept giving up. The 22nd one, it went straight in. And that's how they won 1-0. So again, brings you back to discipline. It's all about doing the same thing over and over again and reinventing.
So same thing I have also learned. Like recently I did my, short course in Harvard Kennedy. So it was like we were having our, classes, and one case study came up. Okay. So the case study from the Harvard president. So he told that one thing that, learn from your mistake, bring bad news on my table. I will solve that. Because from bad news, you can convert that bad news into the good news.
Absolutely.
So I think failure is very important to become a big entrepreneur or successful man. So failure is very important for everyone. Like my opinion is that I don't know about others people.
No, absolutely. You should learn from your past. And the problem is, right, Komal, we want to learn from our past, but we drag our past into our present. We should not drag our past. Right?
Yeah.
And constantly, even if I have to have a conversation with you, if I talk to you, it is always of, okay, this is what I'll be doing tomorrow. These are my future plans. But in the midst of bridging the gap between the past and the future, which is the present, you have eliminated your today. So you are encashing on what happened and what will happen. But today is, I think, a complete mystery to you. That shouldn't be the case. Tomorrow needs to be that mystery, not today.
No, amazing advice. And so looking back today, so are you actually now, I can see that you are grateful that it happened with you before 4 years back. And, so if you could remove that failure from your life, would you?
If I could remove that failure from my life, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think certain things need to happen at certain times in your life. Yes, they are like your speed bumps, right, on the road, your hurdles. Now, if that doesn't happen, imagine if you didn't have those humps onto the road, I think cars would be going in full speed at 120 and 150 with no stopping. Sometimes life wants you to stop, breathe, enjoy, and live. Because like they say, you'll only live once, right? Everything else is bookish. No, it's true, because you're only going to be 30 once in your life. You can be 60 and think, oh, what a great life I had. But if I had this at that age, my life would be different.
There is a one phrase, eat, sleep, repeat.
Absolutely. So live. People forget to live. And I think that's important.
So live your life, because this life is a gift from God. and we should live.
Absolutely.
And we should respect that, okay, we have got this live.
No, absolutely. You need to, Komal, I time and over again say that if people say money is not important, oh please, money is absolutely important. You need money. People say health over wealth. No, if you have health, certainly you can create wealth. But if you don't have health and you don't have wealth, how are you going to?
I heard so many interviews like for successful people. They always say one thing, that money is very, very important.
Yes.
But we should know that how to use it.
Correct.
In correct ways. So if people says, no, money is not important, जो होगा वो देखा जाएगा, जो किस्मत में लिखा होगा वो होगा. But money is very important to live a good life.
I agree.
Yeah.
For example, today you have all the wealth, you have all the money,
Yeah.
and you don't have health. To an extent, now I cannot say that, things will change overnight for you, but at least you can stabilize yourself, get yourself to the hospital, fund your treatment. Yeah. But if you don't have anything and you're trying to make things work, how is it going to work? So money is important.
Money is important.
So is health. I think there has to be a balance between the two,
Yeah.
and that's how you grow.
So let's talk about communication. Like you are someone, who communicates professionally every day with professional peoples. So what does good communication, really meant to you?
Good communication. I think it is speaking your heart out. Not just sounding eloquent on the radio, it is also ensuring that you're decoding information. Anybody can communicate, right? I can communicate, you can communicate, the whole world communicates. That's how we all function. But to ensure that the other person is feeling wanted, is feeling heard, is feeling listened to, I think that's important. When you're communicating to you, when I communicate on the radio, I don't communicate to the thousands of listeners listening. It is my one direction to you. Yeah. You are my listener. You have a problem, send me a message. You want me to answer something, send me. It is going over and above into understanding what the person requires at that very moment.
So what is the biggest communication, people make at work or at home or in relationship?
That we don't listen. You cannot be a good communicator if you
are not a good listener.
If you are not a good listener, you can never be a good communicator. And that is in the writing, right? Without I knowing what the problem is, I can't go, with all guns blaring to solve the problem. I don't know the problem. So I think understanding the consequences and reading the room right. Know who you have to talk what to. Going into the office, creating a ruckus because you feel that you're oh so mighty and you have that power doesn't make you a better communicator. Screaming at home doesn't make you a better communicator. And I'm so sorry to break this down, and this especially goes out to all the men. And I've noticed this, right? I've noticed this. In the office, they probably are very calm, very easy to deal with. Communication is flawless.
At home,
very
they will
soft.
come and...
No, at home, I have noticed this because a lot of women as well get in touch with me, right? At home, there are different humans. Now, what they have done is they've carried all that frustration from work because we can't communicate our feelings. We've come at home and we've created a ruckus. So you need to also excise your energy in the right areas. Know who is worth your value.
For men's, like I think they look for safe space to communicate or to to break their frustration. So they find always safe space.
Which is true, but when it comes to communication, Komal, I feel you need to read the room and communicate it in the right manner. Doesn't mean if someone is at home, does not stand a chance of listening to your problems or you listening to their problems. And that's why this is the crux of it all. Be a good listener.
So be a good listener. So this is advice from your side.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, women's, so now let's talk about, we have talked about communication, we have talked about your life, we have talked about, your challenges. So now let's talk about boundaries.
Okay.
It's like women's often struggle, say to no. So how did you learn to, say no?
Oh, I never.
Without feeling guilty. Yeah, without feeling any guilty.
I never learned to say no. I still don't know how to say no. I don't know how to put my foot down. And I think That's my problem. And that's most of us in a nutshell. Again, this goes back to how you were raised, right? When you're little, you were taught that, there is a certain way, a certain decorum that needs to be maintained. Don't say no. They are adults. You can't always question. But the narrative is very different. If you don't ask the right set of questions, at whatever age it is, you would never know what it is and what is running in that person's mind. So, yes, have I learned that? Absolutely not. Do you think the next generation, my next generation, is learning that? 100%.
That's great. So you still need to learn to say no.
I don't know. I'm yet to.
And sometimes it's good to say no.
It is good. I've been told it is very good.
It is very good to say no.
Yes, but again, that doesn't mean that I don't have boundaries. I do have boundaries that maybe had you met me 10 years or 15 years ago, I was quite different. But now, certainly.
Yeah, that time you were rebellious, that as you said.
Yes, but then I would take in also everything, right? Because that was again, you're starting your career.
In your
you have
young phase, yeah.
You have to bow down to everything. At least that was the notion.
Yes.
But now, no. I don't think so.
So, Muriel, you have built a beautiful community, around yourself in Dubai. Your friends, your listeners, lots of moms, they listen to you because you give lots of updates, you give lots of advice to mom. So, what do you think that, having the right people around us is important?
Absolutely. I think all of us need to be surrounded by right set of people, by the right set of community. And, if you ever, and this is for any place, right? Doesn't matter whether you're working, you're not, you enter into a room and you don't feel part of that room, I think you need to, which means you've overstayed your welcome and you need to leave. That is not the room for you. Find your community, find your tribe, and, so that you're not an alien when you sit with someone else. So if someone is talking about a child problem, you shouldn't be looking at them and saying, but why are we discussing this? No. If you have that similar problem, can you relate? Can you correlate? Otherwise, it won't be possible. And that's why they say, if you've overstayed your welcome, if it's not the room you're meant to be, please leave.
That's great to hear. So, Muriel, I would like to know that who has been your biggest support system throughout your journey?
Oh, my entire
parents,
family.
Obviously.
My parents, for sure. My mom's no more, but my mom, my dad, my sister, certainly. But I think, for me, I would always go back and say, besides my parents, it has to be my in-laws, because if they were not there to back me up, I wouldn't have been where I am. But 3 important men in my life. One, who gave birth to me, my dad.
Parents, your dad.
My husband, who's been my backbone. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing an event at 2 o'clock in the night, 4 o'clock, if I can't go for my son's open days, sports day. He's the one that is always
Taking
there.
care of everything.
Always there.
Yeah.
And third, my son, who motivates me to go out and do it every single day. So I think the women around me have motivated me a lot. The men around me have motivated me a lot.
And your son?
And my son, who is constantly, there to kind of motivate me. His name is Zidane, and he absolutely is in love with the medium radio.
So you do explore also with your son, like, let's try new restaurant or new activities.
I do.
You go on Saturdays, on Sundays.
I do.
Same thing I also, do with my sons. So, we always choose a restaurant and then we'll go like 3-4 restaurants in a day,
In a day?
In a day.
Wow.
So we will take a starter from some different place, main course from some different place, dessert will from different place. So in a day we explore like 3-4 restaurants.
What's your favorite?
So like for me, it's like Italian and Mexican and obviously Indian. And for my son, they love Italian pizza, so they love pizzas, pastas. So yeah, and they love Indian food also. So it's not like, okay, they are very particular about any one cuisine. They love everything. It's all about, new food, new restaurants, and in Dubai there are so many things to explore and so many activities to explore.
Absolutely.
So I always participate. So same thing that you are also doing, and I think it's a good thing to do on weekends with our families, with our sons, with our loved ones.
Absolutely, that's the only time we get to breathe. So
yeah. Muriel, like behind the microphone, when the microphone switches off, who is the real Muriel D'Souza? People wants to know.
When the microphone switches off, Muriel D'Souza is just another girl who runs pillar to post. Doesn't matter whether it's, it's
You are also
running.
someone that to explore on Instagram, or explore on our website. Okay, what should I do? Order, any clothing or
I do it because...
Or you do government research for you?
No, I read a lot, like I say, but then I also go in for a lot of meetings. There are times that I run errands from my own house, and I enjoy that because my son loves it.
Yeah.
He loves going to, supermarkets and hypermarkets and shopping, and I don't know why, because he loves that. That's something he loves. So whatever the family requires at that time, that's me for the day, right? I could be a cook for the day. I could be a businesswoman for the day.
So roles.
Different roles. And I don't think you should be defined by the job that you do, right? I think...
Sometimes if you are cooking for your son, that gives you enjoyment, that gives you happiness.
It's a different story. The kitchen is in a mess, but I will still cook.
So now we will do a fun segment. So I'll ask you one sentence and then you need to complete the sentence. So success means?
Never figured. Never figured. I'm yet to get there. Okay, that's the answer. I'm yet
Maybe in my next podcast you will be. See what is the success there. So
I'm
still need to figure out.
I'm yet to get there.
Okay. Failure taught you?
To be humble.
Motherhood is?
Difficult. Oh my gosh, it is difficult, but absolutely in love with my little one.
And UA means?
My lifeline, given me everything that I could never imagine. That girl from the Chawl today is on the airwaves of the UAE, so a huge
Mumbai means? I'm coming back to that.
Mumbai is Jaan, it's Dil, it's me, it's,
Yeah, your heart is there.
It's part of me, and you can never take that off me.
And one habit that changed your life?
I think to start looking at myself in a different light and not to doubt myself. Believe in myself and just move forward. Believe and trust.
Believe in yourself.
That's
always.
it.
Yeah, we should follow that. One word people used to describe you, like your friends or your family?
Talkative. She talks a lot.
Once you talk that you will not give time to, you will not give time to others to speak.
No,
No?
I do.
So, one advice for our young girls who is watching our podcast, if they are from small town or, middle class family who feels her dreams, are too big. What would you like to give that one advice, or what would you tell them?
Very interesting question, Komal. Don't let your origin be a hurdle. Let it be the start point to a greater calling.
Good. So this is a great advice for our young girls, for our who are deciding to choose their careers, or if someone is listening is going through, failure today. What would you say to encourage them?
It's okay. Chin up, get up.
Next day we have.
Dust your knees and move forward. Believe you me, whatever is gone in the past, you will look 5 years from today, you'll look back at that time and you'll say, did I actually cry on something so small?
Great. And so here now we are closing this podcast, but I would like to ask one question more. When people hear your name, Muriel D'Souza, 20 years from now, or maybe, 10 years from now, so what do you think that, what do you hope that they should remember you with your work?
When people remember me 20 years from now, they need to remember me as a girl who changed lives one story at a time, and a girl who built a community from nothing. Started from ground level, moved all the way up, and has touched our lives in a different way. That's what I want people to remember me for.
Starting your journey from Chawl to Dubai, sky. So there is no limit for opportunities, and that's you have proved here.
Oh, thank you.
So, Muriel, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation.